I've been trying to tell you, what is it about landlines? You can't text in here. How long have you been working in the office? Next thing, you're going to want to send me a fax. 2022, hello. Hey, speaking of 2022, welcome to Season 3, Episode 2, Part 2 of Niagara 411 Live with Sterry. How you doing? Welcome. We are here again on a kind of a chilly, drizzly day, but check out the lack of snow for January the 13th. This is amazing. Niagara 411 Live, fueled, as always, thankfully, by Gale's Gas Bars. We are powered by WeeStream, supported also, as always, by Performance Heating and Air, as well as Verge Insurance Group. We are housed and very well looked after by, one of Niagara's empty restaurants, Fiddler's Poorhouse, but they let us park ourselves in their lovely window here at 149 St. Paul Street. Have some great folks coming up to talk to you today. We're going to give you an update on Trina Blagdon, who went missing on New Year's Eve. We've got her sister coming up on the program for you today a little bit later. Tell you more about that in a minute. Also, David Green with the Comedy Festival update. He'll be here as well, and some other folks coming in. And don't forget, you can always join this program. It is live and open and ready for you to come in, and we'll tell you how you can do that as well. So, New England coming to town on Saturday nights. Go Bills. See you in a bit. And welcome, as I said earlier, out on the street, as I get my little connector ready to go here to Season 3, Episode 2. Kevin Jack, ladies and gentlemen, executive producer of the program on the right-hand side of your screen, co-founder and our executive producer here with WeeStreem. Kevin, how you be?
I'm doing quite well, Lee. Very excited that the kids are going back to school on Monday.
Yeah.
We talk about the burden on parents, and so happy to know that the end is in sight. For how long? I don't know. I don't care. The fact is, Monday, I can resume my regular life. This week has just been absolutely upside down with the hoops, and I know I'm not alone. But parents out there, I feel for you. You got to jump through hoops with this online learning. It's tough for teachers. It's tough for everybody. So I'm happy. Very, very happy.
And we'll have a chance to talk more about this as well. But I mean, the inconsistency of having teachers in or not in to the virtual learning classrooms for 2 weeks, and then kids show up to do the learning and there's nobody there. And it's like, oh my goodness. Anyway, glad to hear that the children are going to be back in the classroom this coming Monday. That is absolutely wonderful news. As I mentioned out on the streets with regard to the program today, coming up at about 12:15 and in just a few minutes, Kelly Blagdon is going to be joining us. Kelly is the sister of Trina. Katrina, full name, but she is known as Trina. Trina went missing, as you may remember. We talked about this last week. People have been talking about it since Christmas or New Year's Eve day, which was the last that anyone had any sightings of Trina. Trina's family is in town, including her sister Kelly. She has another sister, Shelley, and we're going to be getting an update on that story at 12:15 today. It was one of the most viewed pieces on our program last week. I think 20,000 people, something like that, saw that piece. So obviously there is great concern and great interest in trying to locate this young lady, and we'll find out more about that story and where it is and what's going on and get some background when Kelly joins us at 12:50.
And Lee, I think a lot of people are joining the show today, maybe for the first time, to get an update that are affectionate to the story, that are related to the story in some regard. The Zoom room is open to anybody all the time, but that's how you be a guest on the show. If you want to watch the show, just watch it on Facebook and you see the guests. It's an entirely different viewing experience. The Zoom is a tool that we use, but I know there are a lot of people in Zoom right now. If you're not there to come on the show, like talk with Lee, be on the show, be a guest, just watch the show on Facebook. We will get to you all, and I do see that Kelly is there and waiting. So we'll get to her when the time is right in about 5 minutes or so.
Great. Glad to have you waiting there, Kelly, patiently for us, and we'll be with you in just a bit. David Green shall be joining us on the program as well. As you know, he's a highly acclaimed and successful Niagara comic, and he is once again the pivotal guy behind Garden City Comedy Festival that is coming up. So we'll get an update from David Green about that. Bit of a new wrinkle this year, and I won't steal his thunder, but we'll talk to David at about 10 to 1 today. And a little after 1 o'clock today, a gentleman that we talked to earlier in the season as we were leading up to the holidays is James Symons. He's going to be with us. He's the guy behind the Toolbox Project Niagara, and he wants to come on and just give us an update and sort of a debrief on how that project went this year in Niagara. Kevin, there was just to touch on something also before we get to chatting with Kelly. There was an unfortunate incident on Main Street in Welland this past week. An elderly gentleman on a bicycle, they referred to it as a pedestrian hit by a car, but actually pedestrian inferring walking. He was not walking, he was actually on a bicycle.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't say cyclist.
Yeah, why did they say pedestrian? I'm not, maybe it's something to do with how the police word their press releases, I don't know. However, this man was on Main Street in Welland, struck by a motor vehicle on the 13th.
Here we go. This is the
update is the 13th. I'm sorry, that's today.
The accident happened on Tuesday.
Yesterday, Tuesday. So he was struck by a vehicle. Investigation revealed that an 83-year-old male on a bicycle traveling southbound on East Main Street. Subsequently, a 42-year-old male was operating a white Toyota Corolla when the cyclist pulled in front of the vehicle. As a result, the vehicle swerved to avoid contact with the cyclist, causing the vehicle to collide into a wall. So nothing good at all came out of this. Traumatic for the driver, by the sounds of it, obviously, and deadly, fatal for the man that was on his bicycle. Kevin, I see this all of the time, no matter what city that I'm in. I see people, and a lot of them are elderly, or if not elderly, they are older. They're not young, virile people that are running across the street to avoid traffic. They are attempting to do something. Now, this gentleman was riding his bike and probably just swerved out, wasn't thinking, and unfortunately there was a car there, and this happens. Now, unless there is other information, the police always ask for more information. If there was another witness to what happened other than the driver of the vehicle, etc., by all means, they want you to step up and let them know what you saw. But where I was going with this, Kevin, is, and not at all to blame this man. Nobody deserves to get hit and die on the side of the road. But there are so many people, Kevin, that take chances crossing streets and doing things in traffic that they shouldn't be doing. I can't count the number of stories I hear every day from a metropolis like the city of Toronto that pedestrians are hit, and so often I see people crossing traffic instead of at proper crosswalks or intersections, crossing in the middle of traffic lanes, and I just cringe every time I see that. Yeah, just think that anything can happen, just wow.
And then sometimes I'm just trying to bring up a story from about 3 or 4 days ago that Nick reported on Niagara 411 about another pedestrian being struck in Niagara Falls. And I think that was the case where the car actually left the roadway.
Oh, well, that's a whole different sack of hammers when that happens.
Gosh. It's been terrible on Niagara roads. I don't know if it's the winter. I mean, things are pretty slick yesterday evening and even this morning. I don't know if you were out walking your dog or anything like that.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I usually am a little slick, little slippery. But again, we find often, Kevin, that it's speed or distraction that causes these things, and it's not hard to do. I could have been in a very scary situation in my own neighborhood a few days ago, as a matter of fact. I was headed out. I was actually going to pick up a takeout order from a local restaurant, which my wife and I have been doing a fair bit since the restaurants have closed down. We've been trying to support some of the locals, etc. And I was heading down, and it was dark because I was after 6 o'clock, so it was dark. Now there was a family out there. There was a man, his wife, and a child and a dog. But nobody had light clothing on. They weren't flashing or anything like that. And I glanced away for just 1 second into my mirror of the car. And when I glanced back, that dog in the leash was like right in front of me. And I probably would have not hit anybody, but it was too close to me for comfort. So and this is on a residential street, going pretty slow. And so you've got to think when you're out walking. It's tough.
Here's this story was actually a week ago, but it was the one I was thinking of, Lee, in Niagara Falls.
Yes, I saw this as well.
Pedestrian being struck by a vehicle
on the 6th of January, 6:30 at night. Again, about the same time I'm talking about. So, 66-year-old fellow operating a red Ford Focus southbound on Drummond Road. 78-year-old male was walking northbound on the west shoulder of the road. The vehicle struck the pedestrian. Vehicle then proceeded to drive off the roadway and struck a tree. Okay, driver exited his vehicle and ran northbound. So, now this is something that's in a whole class all by itself.
Yeah.
Victim transported to a local hospital.
James Carrier, 66 years old.
Yeah.
What have you done in your life that at 66 years old you try and flee? Like where?
Well, maybe the fellow had a drink or two.
Well, it's usually what people surmise from something like that. But really, at the age of 66, that's the decision you make.
You're not going to stop.
You're not going to stop and help the old guy.
Yeah.
I'm going to look out for my own tush.
Yeah.
It's brutal.
Well, it's one of those, psychologists will talk to you all the time, and biologists as well, and endocrinologists, and all these people that understand how the human biology works, is it's fight or flight. That fight or flight instinct kicks in human beings, and you don't know which one you're going to be. And sometimes it's been documented. Sometimes people have no control. They have no conscious control over whether they pick fight or flight. It's just something that happens instinctively. I would hope that I would pick fight. I would pick fight instead of flight, but depending on the situation, especially if I'd hit somebody with my car. But I don't know. You don't know. So it's hard to condemn people, Kevin, when you've not been there.
Yeah. What are we? 12:14. I'll throw this up because Nick posted this yesterday, and it's an update on the missing persons case of Trina Blagdon, and it's one that I know you, Lee, and we've been touched by. We've been following it closely.
Indeed. So here was the latest information that came out to the public, us. Trina was last seen by security cameras and multiple public witnesses at Firehouse Subs on 4th Avenue in St. Catharines on December 31st between 6 and 6:30 p.m. She would have arrived in a bright lime green Jeep and would have left the parking lot between 6 and 6:30 p.m. Now, when we were talking about this a week ago and even prior to that, we had understood that the sighting or the last known location area for Trina Blagdon was in the Van Sickle Road and Martindale Road area of St. Catharines. Well, to help shed some light on where we are today, a lady that Kevin's been chatting with over the last couple of weeks for a while. Joining us right now is Trina's sister, Kelly Blagdon. Hi, Kelly. How are you?
Hi. I'm as well as can be expected.
Yeah, I guess my question was sort of stupid. I shouldn't have asked you how you were. I can only imagine. Now, you're in St. Catharines at the moment, are you, Kelly?
At the moment, I've actually returned home to Ottawa. I have 2 children in a home here that I have to take care of. And
Of course.
I'm heading back to St. Catharines to join my parents and my stepsister and my other sister, Shelley, tomorrow.
Okay. So your parents and Shelley are here at the moment?
Yes, and my stepsister, Katie.
Okay. So let's go back to December the 31st. And we had been, and other media had been reporting that, as I mentioned, Trina's last known location was Van Sickle, or in the area of Van Sickle and Martindale Road. We know that now not to be the case. Where did that original story come from?
When no one in the family was able to get a hold of Trina on New Year's Day, there were multiple phone calls issued back and forth. At that time, the information was supplied to us from her live-in boyfriend.
Oh, it was her boyfriend that said. So, how did he pinpoint Van Sickle and Martindale Road?
Because that's where her address is, and at that time we were informed that she most likely left on foot, as they went to bed together and she was not seen leaving.
Okay.
And he woke up at 8 a.m. and she was missing.
She was gone from the house.
Completely gone.
And they live in that area. Okay.
Absolutely.
Would it have been a normal kind of thing for her to get up and go for a walk at that time in the morning?
It could be. There were other factors, though, that led us to determine that we could not rely on any information other than physical sightings in talking with the police, so that we are not insinuating by any means, but we do believe that there is some untold story about December 31st, and we want it. We want our sister.
Understood. So let's flash forward now to the new information about the sub shop on 4th Avenue and the Jeep, which we just found out about. How did you determine, or how was it determined, that was her actual last sighting, if you will?
From the police detective in charge, she did give us the update that our sister was videoed there along with her partner inside the Jeep for supper that evening.
Okay.
And that because there was no further information with regards to her leaving on foot and nothing has been picked up, they were going to go with that was the last confirmed sighting.
Now this, to be clear, this Jeep is Katrina's, correct?
Correct.
Where is it now?
It is currently being driven by her live-in partner. That is a different story.
Okay.
That I cannot comment on.
Okay, fine, whatever, yeah.
But as of the night of the 31st, we would like to know if anybody saw that Jeep anywhere in St. Catharines, because ideally it didn't leave the driveway that evening.
But it was seen sorry to repeat, I'm just trying to be clear, but Katrina and her partner were in possession of that Jeep at the sub shop on 4th Avenue sometime between 6 and 6:30 on December 31st.
Correct.
And sometime after that period, Trina was separated from her Jeep.
We do not know.
Okay.
We do not know what happened to our sister after 6:30. We know that her cell phone has not been located. We know that it did not have any outgoing communicames past a discussion about supper that evening.
Mm-hmm.
We know that she does not have any ID, bank cards, anything with her.
So, are you in possession of her ID and her bank cards or her purse or any of that stuff right now?
It's at her home.
So you have all of her belongings, or like her important things.
Her family does not have her belongings.
Okay.
We are currently trying to work with the live-in boyfriend to make sure that her children get the keys to her home and her belongings, because they are almost adults themselves.
And that's kind of where I wanted to go next. She does have children. How old are Trina's children?
16 and 17.
16 and 17?
Yes, her oldest will be 18 in March.
Wow.
And we've been working very closely with their father, because we know that in the event the unthinkable has happened, this is not what Trina would want.
And where is Trina? Where's the children's father right now? Sorry, Kelly.
They are with their father. The year of COVID and schooling has allowed for some flexibility with respect to stuff like that. So,
okay. Now,
especially being that age.
Is that here in Niagara or is that somewhere else?
It's close by, but it's not in Niagara. It's
okay.
in the Ontario area.
Okay. So these children actually, no, I mean, these aren't kids. These young people know what's going on. And how are they doing?
There's not even anything that they can put this to for themselves. There's no precedent for them to refer to. They are completely and utterly lost with respect to, they know that their mother would never do this to them. They are her world.
Okay. Now, this sounds like quite a family with quite a military background. Kelly, we know that Trina spent years in Afghanistan. She is a Canadian Forces veteran. We understood that you were coming down from the Petawawa area at first, and of course we know there's a Canadian Forces base of some major repute in Petawawa. Tell us about the background of the family and that connection.
We actually, it was always uncles and whatnot. Trina put a little bug in my ear when she was in high school, and I ran with it. I was a couple years older, and then she joined me later. And we did spend 10 years in Petawawa together. We loved it in Ontario. That when we took our retirement postings, we both actually chose Ontario areas from Nova Scotia to retire in. So our bond is very, very close. And our other sister, Shelley, she's very much around in Petawawa with us. The whole family's here.
Okay. Kelly, where, and again, I'm not going to ask you to guess or give us any conjecture or anything. I'm just trying again to help where we can to perhaps have other people shed some light on this. It's been a couple of weeks now since December 31st. I guess it's almost been exactly 2 weeks.
Absolutely.
How are you feeling right now? What is your family doing? I mean, is there any progress? I guess what I'm looking for is not just an emotional, but also a factual update on what's happening now in real time.
Okay, so the page, Missing Trina Blagdon, that shows everything that's going on, except maybe a couple things the family's working on in the background. So for instance, I can tell you that right now my father is with a gentleman in a drone and a really great tracker that was recommended to us by other families of missing people.
Okay.
There's also a group of volunteers that will be attending the last known area where she was seen with flyers and posters. We've had people reach out to us from private sectors. That's obviously all in the background.
Mm-hmm.
And the community support, because we are not actually from that area. And my sister, she's only been there 5 years, and her friend group we don't know them, and we're creating friends for her, I guess, through this. And I will say that the people of St. Catharines and all outlying areas have been outstanding and overwhelming in their response to this.
Last week, when Kevin Jack of WeeStream, as he always does, posted an isolated piece of the program that we did last week about Trina, of a huge number of people in Niagara watched this, and another huge number of those actually posted comments that we scrolled through over the course of the week. And there were some comments that mentioned, for example, that they'd seen someone that looked like Trina perhaps come into their store, but again, nothing definitive. Are comments like that being followed? I know a lot of this is part of the investigation. You probably can't tell me, but I'll ask anyway. Are these kinds of comments and folks being followed up with, to your knowledge?
Absolutely. If we see them, I have every day at least 5 to 10 messages, and this is just me, not even the other people involved, with a screenshot of a tip that they saw on a line, and we check it out right away. You may have seen one about a hotel. We called, we got the footage. It wasn't her. We don't, unfortunately, remember to go and update everything.
Right.
That's why.
Well, you can't possibly.
It's overwhelming. Everything is, we feel like we can't do enough, but yet we can't stop doing.
Yeah. There are a whole pile of questions that I won't ask that I could, but you mentioned before when talking about Trina's children that it's something that she wouldn't do. Can you imagine any possible reason at all why her disappearance would be self-induced, that she would do this by herself?
Absolutely not. I have seen references to my sister's mental health. I will say that Trina is a veteran and she does suffer from PTSD, as do I, and it is a very manageable mental illness.
Yeah.
So she has always managed herself very well, and whenever she felt the need for help in the past, she has always called, if not one of her sisters, her best friend, Holly. So I do not believe for an instant. You see how much this lady is loved.
Right.
She has so many escape avenues and help avenues if she needs them.
And I mean, this is not the type of person who is a dropout of society. This is a contributor to and well above the norm, well above the call of duty contributions to society here in Canada. How many years did she spend in Afghanistan? I saw a number that I thought was unrealistic. So you tell me, how many years was she over there?
She spent actually 14 years in the military. She was in Afghanistan for a little less than 1 year of that.
Okay, that makes sense.
She also did numerous domestic exercises. She went to Norway, she went to California.
Right.
The network is far and wide that being a veteran gives us.
Yes.
We are fortunate for that. Unfortunately,
did you serve time overseas as well, Kelly?
We actually were there together.
Really?
That's about the only highlight of the Afghanistan time.
Yeah, okay, because the report I saw had to be erroneous because it said that she spent 14 years in Afghanistan. Nobody spends 14 years in Afghanistan in the military. So, but it was a 14-year military career that she had.
Absolutely, yes.
All right, well.
And then due to...
Now, are there, obviously there is a particular team and or person or persons involved with the Niagara Regional Police Service that are continuing to investigate this. What is their current status? Can you tell us?
Their current status? We get updates, but unfortunately most updates, there's no update. But we understand that a lot of police work is going on behind the scenes, and maybe we're not able to be told about it until it's done. We do know that they're taking this very serious, and we are quite pleased with the support we're receiving.
Good.
Detective Rebecca Gordon.
Okay, so Detective Rebecca Gordon from the Niagara Regional Police Service is the one in charge of this investigation?
Yes.
All right, so if someone wants to contact the police, they should direct any input to her.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm assuming also Crime Stoppers will accept information from people that want to remain anonymous. That's always an avenue that's there, and I'm assuming it is in this case as well.
Yes, absolutely. And I was informed that a new press release from Crime Stoppers should have been on its way either yesterday or today.
And again, the site that we should go to, that anybody wants to go to keep updated with Trina, is what?
It is a Facebook group. It is called Missing Trina Blagdon, brackets Trina. Also, there is a GoFundMe for my family's use to rent accommodations in the St. Catharines area, because as you can imagine, nobody wants to leave without her.
Of course.
But we all have our own homes to maintain, and
Yeah.
this is...
How are how are your children doing?
My son, he is actually really close with, all our sons are the same age, so they're very close. There's 5 of them. And they really don't know what to do with this. Auntie Trina is she's a co-conspirator. She's a friend. Okay. She's, my 4-year-old daughter gets more excited she's coming because a buddy is coming than, Auntie Trina. So, yeah, there's no words that can explain.
Okay.
How we're really doing.
Well,
Lee, let me just hop in here for a second, because I wanted to bring light to something else that people may want to be a part of. Kelly, on the Facebook page as well, it says, and you alluded to this, there's a search party going out tomorrow, I guess. I can put the info up there, but they're asking you to meet at the Starbucks on 4th Ave at 5 p.m. Can you talk about the search efforts that have been ongoing and how people can get involved?
Once you go on to the page, if you go under topics, you will see ground searches, ideas. If you post any of your topics there, we are monitoring constantly. If you go for a walk and you looked for our sister at any point in your day, just upload a map of that area and we will put it in the ground search folder. You can't look enough, and we can't thank you enough for looking. And that's from the bottom of our heart.
Okay. Kelly, I can't think of anything else to ask you that wouldn't be just more sensationalism other than helpful. If there is anything that we can do, that the viewers of this Niagara 411 live program or the participants of Nick's Niagara 411 Facebook page, please reach out to us. You know how to find us now, and I know you've been chatting with Kevin a bit behind the scenes since before we did this. This is a family, ladies and gentlemen, that is just completely mystified and hurt and worried and everything by this, and it's just something families should never have to go through. Kelly, we wish the best for Trina, for you and your family. And again, I know this conversation isn't easy to come on and talk about these things when you'd probably rather be out there searching than talking to me, but we really appreciate the fact that you did so. And if there's anything we can do going forward, let us know, okay?
Thank you so much.
You are welcome. Kelly Blagdon, sister, one of the sisters of Katrina Blagdon, who went missing on December the 31st. Early evening, New Year's Eve, 2021, from that sub shop up on 4th Avenue. Her and her partner in a lime green Jeep were there at that time, and after that, we know nothing. The Jeep is still here. Katrina is not. That is a WTF moment, if there ever was one. And again, to her family, thank you so much to Kelly, to Shelley as well. We haven't met you yet, but we know you're here in support of your sister. And to Trina's parents, I can't imagine what you're feeling right now, so I won't even try. But hopefully your time spent here in Niagara is comfortable, and people make you feel welcome, and we get some answers to all of these questions that everyone has. So.
Yeah, Lee, just wanted to point out again the Facebook page. This is the best source for all information. If you are looking to help, just join the Facebook page. It's right there, Missing Trina Blagdon, and then in brackets, Trina. That's the official Facebook page. There's lots of ongoing information there and ways that you can help. And then also bring attention to, and we touched on it, but the Gofundme campaign.
Yeah.
The entire family does not live in Niagara. And as you can imagine, Lee, if this was your family, you wouldn't leave Niagara until you were leaving with Trina.
Yeah.
And that's expensive. So, if you are looking to help, and maybe financially is the only means that you have.
Well, they don't have a lot
help.
of contacts or connections or people or family or anything else down here. This is an area that they're not a part of other than visitors. And they can certainly use your help. Nobody's trying to profit by this, that's for sure. All right. Just... I don't know, Kev. There's just so many things that you want to sort of, but we won't, because we would be what they call CNNing it. In other words, we'd be just indulging in conjecture, and we don't want to do that.
No, but I mean, the number one thing is to find Katrina.
Yeah,
that's what we need to do. We need to find Katrina. And again, if you want to help find, you can do searches on your own. She's not lying. If you go in there and look at the topics, people are searching all along the 12 Mile Creek Basin and other wooded areas and what have you. If you go out on a search, please include yourself in that list.
Yeah, take a picture or like a map shot of the area that you searched. It's easy to do on the phone.
And tomorrow afternoon, 5 p.m. at the Starbucks out on 4th Avenue, that's where searchers will be gathering for an organized search effort.
But how does, I guess the most important thing to try to rack your minds with, and of course New Year's Eve it's like Christmas Eve. It's like the toughest time, because half the time you're going through the motions and you're so busy and you're not really cognizant of everything that you're seeing and doing and smelling and tasting and like all that. You're just trying to get your evening underway so that you can either have your celebration at home or whatever it is. It's December 31st. It's like through the dinner period. It's 6 to 6:30 p.m. But the only thing, I guess, Kevin, that stands out as something that might be memorable is the color of that Jeep. I mean, this is a vehicle of which there aren't that many on the road. Now, if you see it being driven around right now, it's being driven around by Trina's boyfriend, partner, whatever. But think, if you were in that area at all on early New Year's Eve, if you saw a really bright green vehicle of any kind.
I've been thinking that too. Thinking
back,
where
I see this thing?
What was I doing on New Year's Eve?
Yeah.
Where were we?
Was I over there anywhere?
Did I see anything? And of course, they, along with the NRP, are talking to businesses that might have cameras and what have you to see if.
The CCTV thing.
Yeah, see if they can find. But gosh, my heart just absolutely goes out to the family, to the boys. She said there's 5 boys there that are all cousins, similar in age.
Yeah.
So I don't think the heartache is any different between Kelly's children and Trina's children at this point. They're all just dumbfounded, and I don't know, Lee, what I could even begin to think what a 17, 18-year-old boy is going through with his mother's vanishing.
Yeah, and I mean, they've been together as a family for a long time. Trina is she's not an old woman. I mean, she's still in the prime of her life with mid-teenage children. I mean, she's taken a few interesting trips around the sun in her life, including a stint in Afghanistan and 14-year military career, and like, we're not talking about somebody that is a dropout from society. Au contraire, it's like the exact opposite. You would think that this is a woman who is very, very strong and capable of looking after herself and independent, and all of those adjectives that you might want to use to describe somebody's personality. The last person you would expect to just disappear. Wow.
I know.
I'm not connected to this family, and I feel frustrated by it.
Leah, just want to remind anybody that, or everybody, I guess, that the show is open to anyone, and there's a Zoom link right there in the post. So if you think that you have something to contribute to the program, or you have something to say, or even if you just want to, outpour your emotion to Trina and the Blagdon family, by all means, click on the Zoom link and come on in. We do have another guy that's been on the show before, Dave Benison. I know he's trying to connect now, but just having some difficulty doing so. That's about, I guess, has to do with vaccine mandates for truckers. And you want to talk about the hockey game guy? Because while we're waiting for Dave to connect, if indeed he can,
let's talk about that. There was a 17-year-old goalie. Now, this was a game. This is a minor hockey league game between Grimsby and Lincoln, if I am not mistaken. And at some point in time in this game, it was at the Fleming Memorial Arena, December the 10th game. So this is going back a ways. The goalie intentionally struck an opposing player in the head with their stick. Now, if you know anything about hockey at all, you know a goalie stick is a little bit thicker and more powerful than the average bear, okay? It's a pretty big hunk of material. So it hit this player intentionally in the head with a stick. The suspect was ejected from the game, rightfully so, and the tournament. Now, the victim attended a local hospital for non-life-threatening injuries. The investigation was assigned to 8 district detectives. Now, the update is, on the 11th of January, a couple of days ago, detectives arrested and charged this 17-year-old male from Grimsby for the offense of assault with a weapon. The male was released on a Form 9 undertaking with a future court date. In other words, he was just sort of released on a promise to appear. The Youth Criminal Justice Act of Canada prohibits them from identifying the arrested 17-year-old. He's a minor. So, and anyone with more information, and they always put this at the bottom, so is asked to contact. I'm sure there were enough people that witnessed the incident or whatever. They've had enough people to talk to. But Kevin, you have, if there's anybody that's going to speak to hockey on this program, it has to be you. And you've come up through the minor echelons of this league.
I've seen some crazy stuff in my day.
I'm sure you have. Now, one of the things that I find interesting is the fact that they used that word intentionally. I mean, it wasn't something in the throes of making a save or a scrum around the net or something like that, where a stick smacks somebody in the head and they get hurt. This was like some sort of probably a tomahawk thing.
Deliberate action. And it's interesting. People always love to debate where the line in the sand is drawn between what is a criminal offense and what just happens in the game.
Right.
And that's what the debate was happening. I mean, 400 comments on this post alone on Niagara 411, and that debate is just raging on. And all I would say, Lee, whenever you're thinking about this, is think about the incident that happened and whether or not you assumed that risk when you laced up the skates that day. Is this something that I reasonably thought could happen in the course of a hockey game? For example, you're on the wrong end of a fight. You signed up for that when you laced up the skates. Fighting's part of hockey. It could happen. Having a goalie tomahawk you over the head with a goalie stick, which, as you mentioned, probably weighs 3-4 times as much
as a regular
hockey stick. No, you didn't sign up for that. That's not part of hockey. That's not part of the assumed risk that I took when I stepped on the ice that day. Yeah. And to me, that's the barometer that everybody should use. Is this part of the assumed risk that I took? Because playing any sport, right, if it's a physical sport, there's a risk. There's a risk of injury. There's a risk that something might happen. But if it's over and above that, then that turns into, no, this is just a criminal act.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, though. You mentioned fighting, which has always been one of those really sketchy areas of discussion when it comes to hockey, especially for me, because I'm not a huge hockey fan. I admit it, and I know the aggressive part of the game is part of the game. I get that. However, in the minor leagues, even in the professional leagues, they've done something to try to mitigate that. But in the minor leagues, Kevin, have they not sort of almost tried to propagate a non-fighting environment? Like, have they?
Yes and no. I mean, the fact that fighting is still a penalty tells you all you need to know about whether or not they've attempted to eradicate fighting. Like, there's already a policy in place. Should you fight, here's what happens.
Okay.
Which means,
so they expect you to.
Exactly.
Some point.
Yeah, we've already covered what happens if you fight.
We don't encourage it, but
if it were to happen, here's the penalty that's associated. So yeah, they make the penalties harsher and this and that.
Even
like I said, I've seen crazy stuff in my life, Lee, but honestly I've never seen this. I know a lot of people probably have, but a goalie tomahawking another player over the head with a goalie stick. I've seen guys do that to other guys. But never a goalie stick. And those goalie sticks are heavy.
Yeah, and by the way, when you've got somebody that is a goalie, first of all, they're probably pretty fit to start with.
Well,
I'm not talking about the old guys' leagues. I'm talking about the minor leagues. They're hauling around this equipment. They got to be fairly agile. To raise that thing up and,
he was some kind of upset, Lee. That's all that I would say. But charges
this
at the Fleming Arena.
This is the other thing. Not that it justifies it by any stretch of the imagination, but one of the things that has come out in a huge way in the NFL this year is the penalty of taunting. And you know as well as I do that there's all kinds of trash talk that happens in a sporting event. And most of it goes under the radar. Most of it's sort of whispered into somebody's ear as you skate by or you walk by or whatever, and you're just trying to, your mama, that kind of thing. So I'm just wondering if there wasn't some sort of catalyst.
Oh, I could imagine
between these two that brought this on. Not again, it doesn't justify it, but
no, absolutely.
One wonders.
Throw this up here, Lee, because this is kind of breaking news, and I know we've got Dave Bennison in the green room here that wants to speak to it.
Awesome. Yeah, I just saw this article today, and it's kind of coincidental because I was going back and forth with Dave a few days ago, and he said there's some big changes coming in the trucking industry over the next couple of weeks, and then I saw that the fact that they've dropped the mandatory vaccines for truckers coming back into Canada. Dave Bennison drives for Champion Truck Lines. Dave, how are you, pal?
Hey, good, but it's Challenger, not
Challenger.
Champion.
Why did I say Champion? I knew that. Challenger. I'm sorry,
That's
Challenger.
okay.
I apologize. It just came out. I was
Not
thinking
a
about
problem.
golf, so I was thinking about Champions Tour. So Challenger.
Yeah.
Well, one of
That's right.
Ontario's
So, yeah.
premier truck companies. Okay, Dave, what's going on?
Yeah, so as you read, there's been a lot of changes coming up with the trucking industry, especially for drivers going into Canada, but also coming back into Canada as a Canadian driver, but also going into the U.S. There's going to be some changes coming up in the next couple of weeks. So a lot of people that, if you've been reading, there's this thing called ArriveCan.
Yes.
And I've actually been using it for about a year. We were kind of ahead of the ball. Challenger, so we started using this about a year ago, and so we're sort of set up for it right now. But even for a non-driving public, they have to use this ArriveCan to come back into Canada.
Right.
Up until recently, it wasn't really a mandated thing for truck drivers. But now with the vaccinations coming in, and it's going to have to be mandatory that you've got the double vaccination, and you have to show proof of it through the ArriveCan system. That's starting actually Saturday, and there's some pretty big, there's a pretty big fine if you're not set up on it. There's also, like you said, they were talking about possibly being quarantined for for so many days and
Right.
stuff. But they overturned that last night. One of the things was they thought if that winds up happening, it's going to throw a gum in the works for supply chains and stuff.
Okay.
One of the things so just to give you an idea, like our company, we've got roughly around 1,200 people that work for us. Out of that 1,200 people, there was only about 50 or 60 as of a couple of weeks ago that still needed to get the double vaccination. And our company actually started a clinic and we're getting all the drivers set up. So across the board, I think most drivers will be, double vaccinated to do this. I think they're making it a bigger thing about the double vaccine, and it's going to shut down the economy. That's not going to happen. So,
But Dave, let me ask you.
Yeah.
Let me interrupt you and ask you this. This is
Sure.
an article that came through Reuters News and published in other news sites today. Canada drops the vaccine mandate for its truckers after pressure from the industry. That was the headline. It says Canada will allow unvaccinated Canadian truckers to cross in from the United States, reversing a decision requiring all truckers to be inoculated against the coronavirus. So how does that gel with what we were just talking about?
Yeah, see, I was under the impression that the only thing that they were dropping was that if you didn't have the vaccinations, they couldn't quarantine you. I thought you still had to be vaccinated. So maybe maybe I read that wrong, but I thought it was still, you still had to have the vaccinations. Because right now, I have to show proof of vaccination when I cross. It's actually set up through my Fast card.
Right.
So I set it up. It's actually really simple. It's a one and done. You put all your information in.
Right.
Before I used to have to, because I cross the border every day, so 5 times a week, sometimes 6, 7 times.
And this
every day I had to put all that information in. Yeah.
And this again, I mean, we've talked about this ad nauseum on this program and elsewhere about the fact that confusion reigns supreme with this whole COVID conversation. Because, again, this article goes on to say, Canadian Prime Minister Trudeau faced pressure from the main opposition party and a trucking lobby to drop the vaccine mandate for truckers, due to come into force on Saturday, saying it could result in driver shortages, disrupt trade, and drive up inflation. The Border Guards Association said that unvaccinated or partially vaccinated Canadian truck drivers arriving at the U.S.-Canada border will remain exempt from pre-arrival, arrival, and post-arrival testing and quarantine. So again, we've got sort of diametrically opposed pieces of information here.
Exactly, yeah. And I'll tell you, even the border guards get confused. So I crossed this morning going into the U.S. and there's been some information going out on the 22nd going into the U.S. They're going to want to have a proof of vaccination going in. I asked the guy today. He said, I have no clue what you're talking about. Oh. And then when I came back into Canada, I asked them about, if they've heard what was going on with the update. And honestly, the guy had no clue. He says, I have no idea. He says, we just know Saturday, this is when it starts. So that's part of the whole problem with this. There's so much confusion going on. Yeah. That even the people that you're dealing with at the border, they don't even know what's going on. So, because that's the thing, it changes daily too. So
right now, as far as you're concerned, people need to be vaxxed. They need this ArriveCan thing, and it's sort of business for you. It's sort of business as usual.
Yeah, and really, it's not, like I say, it wasn't that difficult to set it up. It's a one and done. So basically, what happens is I do my ArriveCan. It's set up through my Fast card. I do fast loads back and forth. So as soon as my Fast card is scanned, all my vaccination information comes up. I don't have to. I just do it once. They actually sent me a barcode with a number, and I have that number. So I write it on my paperwork. I'll have it on my phone on my app, and then the border guard can see it.
Yeah.
So,
man.
It's pretty simple. Yeah.
Thanks. Appreciate you popping in here to try to provide some clarity.
No problem.
Drive safely. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, sir, and we'll keep the freight rolling.
Okay, lad. Take care.
Have a good one.
David Green, I'm assuming, Kevin, is in our green room. We named a room after him.
Yeah, an entire room. We're going to get to that in just a second. Just give him a couple minutes here to kind of get himself situated and all that. And speaking of funny, Lee, I had my attempt at funny and have to share this video later. But for Christmas, my wife got me the Lego Seinfeld set. This is on the heels. I bought her the Lego Friends set. So the Lego Friends set is over 1,000 pieces, and it is the Central Perk. It's the coffee shop. The Seinfeld set is Jerry's apartment.
Jerry's house.
And you get little minifigs of Jerry, Elaine, Kramer, George, and even throw in a Newman. Well, I guess, I don't know. I didn't need a Newman.
Hello, Newman.
So my kids and I, we built that over the last few weeks, and then had it finished this week and decided to have a little bit of fun. So I used the characters, I did a little stop motion animation thing, and I recreated one of my favorite scenes of Seinfeld of all time. And you know what? After David, why don't we get to that?
We'll do that. We'll put that in our comedy piece here, and it's brilliant. You got to hang around and watch this. It's absolutely brilliant. Niagara comic, probably the hardest working comedian in Niagara, David Green. We got you out of the green room, but it still looks like you're in the green room with the background you get going on there.
Yeah, it is, buddy. Everything's green in this house.
Everybody's green.
I sleep in the green screen. I wrap myself up in it at nighttime.
Well, as Kermit said, it's not easy being green.
No, but I make do. You know. Good to see you, sir. Good to see you.
Good to see you too, my friend. And I've been following on your Facebook the evolution of your young family. Everybody's doing fine in the Green household.
Yeah, they're doing great. Yeah, she's growing up way too fast. She's getting big, and she's with grandma today, which is a nice. I'm not gonna lie, it's a nice break. I do miss her. I got some free time, so I've been playing some GoldenEye, Nintendo 64. You know, making the most of this lockdown.
That's why you look so relaxed.
That must be it.
I got to tell you though, David, you're going to have to get a new hat for next year. I'm sorry. I'm
sorry, but I'm still riding the wave of that Stanley Cup run. I'm still riding it for another year. So
that's a wave? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I'll just hop in here. I was watching a bit of that game last night, David. The Habs looked awful. That's just my little 2 cents there.
Well, they're consistent. So, listen.
So bad. This year's a write-off.
Yeah. David, the Garden City Comedy Festival. Once again, I have to give a tip of that hat, no matter what logo is on it, to you for continuing to keep your foot on the gas of comedy initiatives here in Niagara through this ridiculous COVID thing that we've been going through. You seem to find ways to keep pressing on, and I think that's just an absolute wonderful feather in your cap. Again, here is the analogy to not letting this thing go. So. Again, first I wanted to start with that. Next, I'll ask you what's going on. Talk to us about the Garden City Comedy Festival.
For sure. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. And I like the mention of the feather in the cap, because I am from Nottingham, so Robin Hood style, get that feather in there.
Righto.
You know.
Indeed.
Yeah. But we're doing. Yeah, I've been lucky to be during lockdown number 1 back in the day. I started doing a lot of those online Zoom shows, and I got to meet some very funny people performing all over the world. Some people in Australia, some people in the United States. So I've been lucky enough to, try and scope out some of the talent out there and bring a lot of talented people together for a virtual Zoom show happening tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. So it's going to be a lot of fun. We had a show on New Year's Eve, which was a good time. It was a small group. We had about 30 people, 30 audience members in our crowd, but which is plenty for a Zoom show. And, the laughs were there and everybody had a good time. I can't wait to do it again tomorrow.
So tell us how it works.
So what it is, if you want to get a tickets are $10 per household. So up to 5 people can watch in your household, according to the rules. Then we will send you the viewing link. And then at 8 p.m., myself and 5 other comedians from all over the world will put on a comedy Zoom show. We encourage people to have their cameras on and their microphones on so we can see people and interact with them and we can hear the laughter. And we have funny videos and sketches that we include in there too. So it's a good time. I know you have to really experience it, hearing out loud a Zoom comedy show, but if you get talented, funny people on the show and you get the right crowd, it can be a good time.
Now, David, one of the things that is setting this apart a little bit, maybe from some of the other initiatives you've been involved with, is you've expanded this beyond our boundaries. And I know that you are a huge, and thankfully so, Niagara supporter and of Niagara local talent, etc. But because of this situation, it's a show for Niagara, obviously, but you're bringing in some pretty cool international talent on this one.
Yeah, on this show we have performers coming from Omaha, Nebraska. We have a comic performing from Texas, Austin, Texas. On the last show we did, we had somebody performing from Cairns, Australia. They were performing. It was 10:30 in the morning in their time when they performed on New Year's Day. We were getting ready to celebrate New Year's Eve. He was already hungover the next day at 10:30 a.m. So that was pretty cool to experience. But with the virtual world too, I met that guy through. I did a virtual reality comedy show,
right?
Which it was just really surreal. Everyone's there with their goggles and this virtual world, and you walk up to the comedy club, and there you see my poster, my name and picture is on a poster outside the club. I mean, you walk in, all these people are coming up and talking to you. It's a crazy world we live in, but I'm trying to make the most of it. Spread the laughs worldwide.
Well, it is a crazy world we live in, and I have a feeling that a number of years from now, we will look back on this incredible inconvenience that we called the COVID era and find that there have been some pretty innovative solutions to a lot of different problems and situations that we would have never had to develop before. But then we've got a whole pile of new tools in our toolbox in so many different walks of life, and this is just one of them. I think we may look back on this and saying, hey, if we hadn't done this, we wouldn't have learned this over here, and I think you're a prime example of that.
Yeah, and even what we're doing this interaction right now.
Exactly.
The fact that this show is here, bringing information to the people is amazing. Yeah, it's really cool to be a part of.
All right, so before
even like different opportunities, not just the live things. Sorry, go ahead.
No, yeah, whole different ways of thinking. One more time before we go, give us the chapter and verse on what's going on tomorrow.
So it is the remotely funny comedy show featuring international performers from around the world. It is live at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And to purchase tickets and find all the details, just visit GardenCityComedyFestival.com. All
right. David Green, always a pleasure. Congratulations on all these initiatives you keep pushing forward. And good luck again with the new family. And I know we'll talk again soon.
I look forward to it. Thanks, my friend. Have a great day.
Take care, man. All right. I can't help it, Kevin. Every time I see the Canadians logo,
you got to take a shot.
Yeah, but I think of you and your partner, and a lot of people.
We're a business divided.
Might not know. Yes, it's a business divided. The WeeStreem co-founders Kevin Jack and Brandon Scram couldn't be more diametrically opposed in their hockey allegiances than they are. Brandon's, I think he's still got the big banner outside his house with the Canadiens
he's as
flag
diehard a Habs fan
as you are a Leafs fan.
I think he's more diehard Habs than I am diehard Leafs.
I did run into Brandon and his family walking their son to school when I was walking my dog, because we kind of live in the same neighborhood, and they were all still resplendent in their Canadiens gear. It was.
Didn't he have a helmet on that day too?
He did. He did have a helmet on.
You know what? He bought himself.
And I wasn't sure whether I should bring that up, because I don't see too many people walking down Lakeshore Boulevard wearing a hockey helmet.
It was one of the old school Gretzky Jofas, and those are sought after by hockey players.
Well, he was obviously very proud of it.
Yeah.
And I thought he was worried about falling down, but it wasn't icy or anything. So
now, something I'm very proud of, Lee, is my latest Lego project.
Yes, let's do this.
The latest Lego project. So my wife got me the perfect gift for Christmas, and it was a Lego set that is Seinfeld. It's Jerry's apartment. So it was a great family thing to build it.
Put it all together.
My son Alex, our daughter Ayla, they just love Lego right now. Alex is like a master builder. So is Ayla. They get in there.
And again, remind us how old they are.
Alex is 6 and Ayla is 8. So that's
Right, okay.
prime Lego age. But you know what? You're never too old. So this gift was perfect for me. Once we had it built, though, I'm sitting there looking at the Seinfeld set and wondering to myself, what can I do with this thing? And then, Lee, I had an idea. And out of that, this was born. So I decided to, and this is very crude, okay? I put this together in about 2 hours. I'm sure if I took, 24 hours, I could put a little finer polish on it.
Well, knowing you, you will. You'll polish, but even so, this is brilliant.
So this is a shot for shot. We tried to recreate this famous Seinfeld scene, and I'll just let you hear it.
Yellow. What delay industries?
No! Bear delay! Say bear delay!
Now you're way off. Well, yeah, that's the right number, but this isn't an apartment.
No,
What?
say bear delay! Say bear delay industries!
Yeah, no problem. How did you know who they wanted?
And you want to be my latex salesman.
That is now for those that might not be familiar with the scene, you got to play it again.
Okay.
You got to play it again. The person on the couch that answers the phone is
That's Lego Kramer.
That's Lego Kramer, and then of course George comes running out of the back because he's expecting a Mandalay thing, right?
Yeah, he's I think he's trying to pretend that he's applying for a job at Vandalay Industries to be their latex salesman.
Right. And okay, come on, you gotta play it. Yeah. And of course, that's Elaine Dennis on the.
Yellow. What delay industries?
No! Bear delay! Say bear delay!
Now you're way off. Well, yeah, that's the right number, but this isn't an apartment.
No,
What?
say bear delay! Say bear delay industries!
Yeah, no problem. How did you know who they wanted?
And you want to be my latex salesman.
Kevin, that is brilliant.
And yeah, I mean that's created. If you watch the actual episode, that's pretty much shot for shot. And I'll show you here, Lee. Here's Daddy and daughter doing it. So there you see. There's the little Lego Jerry set.
Yeah.
I got the cell phone there to take the pictures.
Yeah.
There's a light. If my lighting needs some work. There's my
That's all
daughter.
right. It
Ayla,
looked good on the final product.
And then you see there in the background on the tablet, that's the actual scene. Oh, okay. Sorry, this stopped. Sorry, the screen stopped moving for you there.
Yeah. That's brilliant. And that series has so much gas still in its tank. My wife took a trip out to British Columbia to see our kids and grandchildren, a number of months ago. And so I'm sitting around, I'm having some dinner in front of the TV, like guys will do. And so I was looking for something to watch and I hit on this thing on I don't know whether it was Netflix or whatever it is. Anyway, it was nonstop Seinfeld episodes. I think I watched, and I've seen them all before, but I think I watched 8 or 9 of them in a row. I couldn't draw myself away from them because I'm just sitting by myself like an idiot, laughing, tears coming down my face. And these are things that are cultural phenomena that we will rarely see. It's just, and for you to do that, and you have to give credit to Lego of how they've evolved their product into these things. Like the science fellow that we talked to, a meteorologist from the Weather Network, Scott Sutherland, comes on to do some science pieces with us. This guy is an absolute Lego addict. He has just about his entire world built out of Lego. It's amazing the things that they put out there that you can put together with their products. They're just so cool.
And I felt like an absolute kid again, Lee. I mean, yeah, my kids were having fun with that, but if you ask my wife who was having the most fun, it was this guy.
Yeah, but what a great way to enjoy something cool like that with your kids.
That's what I thought, and I have a feeling that's not my last.
It won't be your last rodeo.
No, I just got to find some other scenes, and the important thing is, Lee, is that there's a lot of iconic Seinfeld scenes, but I have to find the ones that take place in the apartment.
Well, yeah, because that's your set, right?
Right. As much as I'd love to do, the famous. So I reached into the blowhole and pulled out the obstruction.
The golf ball.
Yeah.
We can only.
Titleist?
I would think, Kevin, that the benchmark of popularity and fame would come if Lego would put out a Niagara 411 live set. I think that would be fun.
That's a career goal.
That's
a career goal right there.
That would be a showstopper right there.
That absolutely will. Now let me see here. Looks like we've got James in the green room.
Awesome.
So I'll let you tee it up. And Lee, before I do, I'll let you know that I am wearing.
Careful.
I am wearing my Toolbox Niagara T-shirt.
Look at you. I did not even know you had one of those collector's items.
Yep, that I bought in support of Toolbox Niagara. James will tell you all about it if you're not familiar with it, but another way that we could support him in his endeavors this year was by buying some of the branded merchandise. So I got a T-shirt.
Good
James
for you.
delivered it to me right in my house, and I'm proud to wear the Toolbox Niagara T-shirt because Toolbox Niagara is just very cool, very cool.
Yeah, good for you. James Symons was on prior to the Christmas and New Year's break, of course, because it's a holiday initiative that James developed all on his own, a charity organization that supports men in need in the Niagara region, and he joins us now again. James Symons. How you doing, James?
Hey, Lee. Thank you for having me. It's great to see you guys again. Great to see that you guys are well.
Yeah, we are well. Thank you very much. Kevin and I have both stubbed our toe in the COVID world a little bit over the last few weeks, but we have lived to tell about it, which is good. And how about you? Tell us about the Toolbox Project Niagara and how you guys made out this year.
We had one of our best years again. The support continued to grow. Bolt Realty, Ted Bolt and the team, Scott Brenn and them were our presenting sponsor, and they did an unbelievable job. Went to pick up the bins, and they had 3 full in their office and collection bins from donations throughout across the region. And Scott said to me, "This ain't enough." I'm like, "You've given us cash. You've done everything, gone above and beyond." He's like, "No, we need to do more." He said, "Can you come back Saturday afternoon?" Saturday afternoon, I come back, and the other 4 bins they had were full. They had gone shopping.
Oh.
Very thankful for them. Grantham Lions, Port Dalhousie Lions, all the Rotaries stepped up. It was just a phenomenal year. Of course, we experienced increase in need, but our support outweighed our need.
Well, I'm so gratified to hear that. So, how many Niagara Souls were you able to help out this year?
We're able to do 1,235.
Wow.
This year, and big jump from our 360 on our first year. Our first year, our goal was 25. This was our 5th campaign. Lots of need, but again, our support was just unbelievable. Plus, we had surplus of items, so the downtown shower at Silver Spire Church, we were able to help them. Breakfast program in Welland. A lot of our surplus, we were able to continue to benefit other groups.
Oh, that's That is over 1,200 this year.
Yep.
Wow. Well, thank you again to your sponsors, Bolt Real Estate, and others that stepped up. But obviously, they've really found a legitimate cause and a kind, big heart in you. And kudos to you, James, for pushing this thing forward. That is absolutely spectacular. Thanks for coming on to give us an update, and well done. So what do you do now in the off season?
Thank you.
After all this hard work, you go into the off season. What do you do now?
Well, one of my team members gave me a mug and a gift certificate for chapters.
Okay.
Telling me to get some rest and a candle as well. My team is encouraging me rest, but poverty does not end now. Homelessness does not end now. What we're doing is just to show the people that we care. There's stuff that needs to be done still. Any causes or organizations need me, I'm willing to help. Yes, I will get some rest, but I can't sit for very long. Looking at maybe doing something for the spring. We're looking at options. I'm sending my team ideas, and they're like, we're on rest. Why can't you be on rest? So see what happens.
All right, man. If there's anybody out there that wants to give you a hand or help out or volunteer, how do they find you?
They can find us on Facebook, and if there's any organizations in need of anything, just to reach out to us as well.
Yeah, so just Google or search the Toolbox Project Niagara, and you'll find James. Congratulations, man. Thank you for everything you do.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Hey, and you. Get some rest.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, okay. So, Kevin, we were talking, I touched on a little while ago the fact that you and I have had our brushes with COVID, and I think last week, just to bring some full circle conversation here, as I mentioned right at the end of the program, and a couple of times in last week's show, that we, meaning my wife and I, were going to get our third shot, or people are calling the booster. That was supposed to have happened yesterday. Well, since we did the show last Thursday, we did have our brush with positive tests. My wife tested, did one of those rapid test things, tested positive. So we did our hunker down, we did our isolation, we did our thing, we followed the rules, and it's a minimum 5 days, etc. So, and the other thing that we did the research on was the fact of at what point should you have the booster or the third shot if you still have some symptoms or whatever. So, and public health was very good with sending out all the guidelines, et cetera. So they're saying you should wait as long as possible until you're past the symptoms and all that stuff. And I was never really very sick. I mean, it was just more like a regular cold, I guess, than anything else. So our shot has been moved to next Tuesday to make sure that, we've let enough time go by. But for us, it was we were both double vaxxed, where it wasn't really critical, I guess. There was no hospitalization required or anything. It was just our brush, our little initial brush with COVID, like Kevin's family had when your son came home and you guys tested positive from the school contact and stuff. It's just that we're all going to have our brushes with this thing, and it's really interesting trying to find out information about what you should do when and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, Lee, I mean, we had both our children and my wife test positive in the days leading up to Christmas. We're not entirely sure, but we did get a note during the Christmas break from our children's school saying that somebody there, so it may have come that way, although to be honest, I don't think anybody really knows right now with the Omicron. It just seems it's so contagious. And I
didn't bother getting the test because I got symptoms, and I mean, what else is it going to be, right? So I just assumed that I had the bug,
Yeah, and the good thing is that for people that are vaccinated, for the most part, the symptoms aren't too severe. My wife got it pretty bad. She was down and out for 4 or 5 days, lethargic, energy levels real low, headaches. But
and I guess my wife was similar. She got hit a little harder than I did.
Yeah, harder. I don't know if I ever got it. I never tested positive. I don't know how I could live in the household.
You always look sick anyway.
With 3 people.
I'm kidding.
No, there is that.
I'm kidding.
So I mean, it's not to just be fluffed off.
No, of course not.
But I know that a lot of families and a lot of households are dealing with it. And then, of course, if you live with them and the self-isolation, is it 10 days? Is it 5 days? Got to wait 24 hours when you're symptom-free. So it is very confusing. But
one of the things that when we rescheduled our third shot, one of the really interesting, informative emails that was sent to us from the Niagara region was sort of an overview of when you should get your third shot and when you shouldn't, under what circumstances, whether you're infected or symptoms or whatever. And another one was, what kind of shot will you get? Because there's been great debate over the third shot, and especially people that have had, like myself, had Pfizer for the first 2 shots, and then go and they're offering a Moderna, and there's been a lot of walkaways, a lot of people walking away and not wanting to get it. So one of the things that was on this information sheet, which I found interesting, was people under 30 that were double vaxxed are getting the Pfizer thing. This is their plan anyway, getting the Pfizer thing, and people over that age, like me, I know I don't look it, but like me, that are over 30, get, even if they're double vaxxed with Pfizer, will get the Moderna, because there are different interactions biologically with certain demographics and what you had before. So there is science behind this. Either that or it's just their way of saying, hey, we got more Moderna, so that's what you get.
I mean, Lee, you're saying that there's science behind it, but this guy that I went to high school with, who
isn't?
Who never really did too well in high school, he posted the exact opposite on Facebook. So I don't know who to believe. I don't know who to believe.
Do you believe the guy that didn't graduate high school or the scientists?
I don't know.
It's a toss-up.
It's so hard. What were we watching? My wife and I.
Sarcasm. You're such a cynic.
We were watching something the other day, and somebody put it this way. And if I knew who it was, I would give them credit. Oh, you know what? I think it was a Jim Gaffigan stand-up special on Netflix.
All right.
And it's current, so he was addressing COVID and what have you. And he said, you could either be on the side of science, or you could be on the other side, whatever you would call the opposite side of science.
Lego.
And it's like, you're so right. You could be on the side of science or the opposite side of science that has no name. Which is what exactly? What is...
dark web opinion.
Yeah, struck my wife and I as rather odd. And just because you're on the side of science, and I always say this, like, I'm complying, but I'm also being critical. And I think it's totally fair to do both. Right? Just because I'm doing what the government tells me to do, and we're good, compliant citizens here of Niagara, Ontario, and Canada, doesn't mean that you can't comply and yet also ask questions as to what's going on, like, why are restaurants closed? We've talked about that at length.
Okay, well, these are actually, if you think about it, these are actually 2 different conversations. There's the science of the bug. There's the science of of the virus. But there is no science behind the political decisions as to how we respond to it.
Exactly.
That has not been scientific. The politicians will tell you that it has, but it hasn't, because there are too many non sequiturs. There are too many gray areas. There are too many WTFs. There's too many what going on for that to be scientific.
No, you're absolutely bang on. Lee, it's been a banger of a show.
It has been.
And coming up here for our musical guest, it's a new group. We've never featured them before. They're from either Lincoln or Niagara. I guess what you read, and here you go. Here's their Facebook page.
Isn't that the same thing?
Strange Love. Well, yeah, okay. Sorry, Lincoln or St. Catharines.
Lincoln is in Niagara.
Yeah, sorry, they say Lincoln and St. Catharines.
All right.
Here you go. You got Josh Morose, Anthony Columbro, and Alex Nickel.
All right.
And see, current location, Lincoln, St. Catharines.
That's the name of the group, Strange Love?
Strange Love. And the song we're going to play is Dirt and Sand.
Dirt and Sand.
By Strange Love.
All right. That guy in the front, on the right-hand side, Looks a little bit like that dude. I think his name is Paul McCartney.
I was going Keanu Reeves.
Well, yeah, maybe. Looks a little bit like that Get Back Paul McCartney version.
And this guy looks like a guy I went to college with, but it's not.
Yeah.
And what about the guy in the back? That's got to be Ringo, right?
All right. Before we bring on Strange Love and Dirt with Dirt and Sand, I would like to once again thank Kelly Blagdon for being here and welcome her family to Niagara with regard to the disappearance of Trina. And boy, we hope there is some ratification of this story sometime soon. Thank you, Kelly, for being here. And again, anything we can do, please reach out. David Green of the Garden City Comedy Festival. Check it out tomorrow. Check it out on online, on Facebook, online, etc. And get your $10 ticket and have a laugh tomorrow. Okay. And to James Symons and all his supporters for the Toolbox Project Niagara, again, congrats on a great year and thanks for giving us the update today. Kevin Jack, as always, executive producer of the program, our main man here on Niagara 411 Live. Thank you from all of us to WeeStreem. Gales Gas Bars, we didn't spend hardly any time on our sponsors this week, and I'm so sorry. Gales Gas Bars fueling this program as they have done so in Niagara for the last 50 plus years. Performance, Heating and Air, Verge Insurance Group, thank you so much. My name is Lee Sterry. It's been a blast today. Thank you again for being here on Season 3, Episode 2 of Niagara 411 Live with Lee, and Strange Love coming up. Thanks.